Now they will know why they are afraid of the dark. Now they will learn why they fear the night.
These are C.H.U.D.
Cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers. Prepare for horror, laughs, and thrills in this outrageous sequel to the home video hit C.H.U.D. C.H.U.D 2.
But the C.H.U.D.
Originally conceived as a sequel to Return of the Living Dead, and then later retitled, at least according to Rotten Tomatoes, the silly 80s horror satire C.H.U.D 2, aka Return of the Living Dead 2.5, was initially intended for theatrical release, but instead was put out direct-to-video by Vestron in September 1989, 5 years after the original. Although the original film was met with light reception, C.H.U.D grossed over 3 times its budget, opening in 13th place at the box office during August of 1984. Growing a cult following over time, 2 of the film's stars, John Hurd and Daniel Stern, went on to notable success, coincidentally reuniting later for the Home Alone films, which we all know were really just thinly veiled C.H.U.D spin-offs. Director David Irving admits he never saw the original film nor wanted to, and it shows, as the sequel notably bears little to no resemblance to the first film. Instead, it takes a comedic route, joining the ranks of Return of the Living Dead 2 as unnecessarily comedic follow-ups to otherwise serious horror flicks. Granted, neither series' originals were overly serious, but they certainly weren't as over-the-top comedic as their predecessors. It also serves as an early example of the now popular zombie comedy subgenre, such as Shaun of the Dead, Zombieland, and Warm Bodies, not to mention the OG zombie rom-com, My Boyfriend's Back. C.H.U.D 2 follows a couple of high school losers who break into a lab and unwittingly release a dead body a la Night of the Creeps. However, this time it's not as funny, well-written, or has Tom Atkins waving a shotgun saying,
I already killed you. You son of a bitch, I already killed you.
Andy's asshole stepdad from Child's Play 2 plays the title character Bud Oliver, otherwise known as Bud the C.H.U.D. You might recognize actor Garrett Graham from such classics as Used Cars, Terror Vision, It's Alive 3, Seinfeld, and
Police Academy 6.
Written by Ed Naha under a pseudonym, the screenwriter of Dolls, Trolls, and that other pint-sized scary movie, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. The sequel begins with a long wonder shot, going throughout the entire hospital, interrupted only by the woman on the PA from Airplane.
Dr. Burkhalter, where the hell are you? I am not fooling around.
After sufficiently padding the 1 hour and 24-minute runtime, the doctor arrives to deliver a deadly dose to the last surviving C.H.U.D, while bad news is delivered to the top brass.
The remaining C.H.U.D is being terminated as we speak. Sorry, Ted.
Ted, or Colonel Graves, doesn't have a good poker face. Apparently, the military was weaponizing the C.H.U.Ds.
Had the C.H.U.D research continued, we could have had the ultimate in biochemical warfare.
I'm afraid I don't share your enthusiasm, Colonel.
And look who's back to squash his dreams. None other than Freddy Krueger denier Priscilla Pointer from Nightmare on Elm Street 3. I guess being Sue Snell's mom, both fictional and real life, from Carrie, plus the mother of the film's director, David Irving,
For
get you
instance, the little
typecast.
matter of the drug's cannibalistic side effects.
Playing Graves, Master's right-hand man, is Larry Cedar, who, believe it or not, played the creature on the wing of the plane in Twilight Zone the movie. You probably won't recognize him, but he also starred as Chevy Chase's dad, Cornelius Hawthorne, on the beloved sitcom Community. Next, Bud escapes and the military searches for him using one of the most out-of-place horror cliches as a jump scare.
Ready?
How the hell did a cat get onto a secret military base? Is it part of some experiment? If so, shouldn't they be chasing after the cat before it goes and spreads some unknown disease like 12 monkeys? Finding Bud, who looks like he wandered off the set of George Romero's Dawn of the Dead, they use the technology they stole from Dr. Freeze to put this chud on ice. Meanwhile, in the town of Random Lightning and Frankenstein foreshadowing, we meet our main characters, high school students Kevin, the nerdy guy with the crush on the hot girl, Steve, his screwball best friend, and Katie, played by Trisha Lee Fisher, younger sister to Carrie Fisher in real life.
Yes, sir.
After more foreshadowing of the Frankenstein parallels when Steve electrocutes a frog in science class, him and Kevin are reprimanded to cleaning the school basement.
What messes?
And what better place to keep the school's unrefrigerated dissection cadaver
Stand back, Doctor. Code blue.
than next to a wide open loading dock door where it can go rolling away at the simplest of hijinks. Film logic dictates that whenever you lose a dead body, you must replace it by stealing another one. So that's exactly what they do a la Night of the Creeps in the CDC building, home of awkward doctor interactions and even awkwarder guard interactions.
How's Mr. Oliver?
Still dead.
What are cops doing in a hospital?
Stealing Bud, they go to Steve's house to stash the frozen cadaver until they figure out what to do with him, leading to some amusing hijinks involving Steve's
what that is?
parents.
Snow.
Right. How about those guys?
Penguins.
No, those are seals.
Come on, Jasper. Beat
And
it.
just like Victor Frankenstein, they resurrect Bud, albeit accidentally, who then embarks on a mission to eat the family dog, but not before obsessing over a picture of Katie for no reason whatsoever. And what is it with the color scheme in this bathroom? An entire room teal? Really? Even the toilet paper is teal. Where the hell do you go and buy teal toilet paper? Bud finally gets a hold of the family dog and makes it a snack. And apparently he ducked into the bushes to smoke a fatty after biting the dog because I don't know how the hell his eyes got so dog dick red. Is that what chudding does to you? The trio drive around looking for the missing chud exactly like in the first movie, leading to some great 80s
They have
dialogue.
Katie's name.
My parents are gonna love this. B in biology, C in history, and A in body snatching.
Meanwhile, Bud starts looking more like a Tom when he starts peeping in on the 80s suburban housewives working out to fitness programs on the TV, a staple of every 80s horror film.
Leotard slut.
It looks like Bud and the lonely spinster may have found a love connection.
Are you heterosexual? Do you have a job? Well, what's your name? Oh. Bud.
Until his dental hygiene thwarts his chances again. Well, at least he gets to eat her. At this point, everyone he bites turns into a chud, which is more like a zombie or a vampire than a chud. So what the hell is the point? Cannibals don't bite people and then turn them into other cannibals. Not to mention, these things look nothing like the chuds from the first film. Including the small dog who just about has the funniest scene in the movie with the innocent mailman.
Nice doggy.
What kind of a bee does she want to be?
A killer bee.
That's cute.
Yeah, I wonder what I should wear to Mary's party
Yes,
tonight.
I'm sorry.
I don't know, honey. You like this dress?
I hate it.
Causing Steve's little sister a case of PTSD after seeing it.
What are those?
Trying to track down Bud, Masters and Graves visit
Ma'am, it
Steve's
seems like
house.
He and some friends have stolen some government property from a top secret installation, and we were just.
That's enough, Graves. Just tell him to return my merchandise.
Coming up empty, they drive around as Masters reflects on
You know, in
simpler
my day,
times.
if I got school, my father would have taken me to the woodshed. You better believe it.
Excuse me, sir. They don't have woodsheds anymore.
Well, that's beside the point. Keep looking.
On his way to infecting half the town, Bud even turns the town barber into a zombie chud, going all Sweeney Todd on us. Graves and Masters see the barber as they drive
Now, in my
around.
day, if I stole a corpse, my father,
What the hell is that?
well, just the goddamnedest, ugliest looking barber in the world.
With chuds multiplying and normal hamburgers no longer satisfying their cravings,
Yeah, well, we have a variety of burgers here at Bossy's. Just let me know what kind of meat you want. Baby, binge, bounty, bodacious.
the trio finally catch a break and spot Bud chilling in the back of a pickup. Which begs the question, if they're underground dwellers, what the hell are they doing above ground the entire movie? Not one single chud emerges from the sewer like the poster indicates. Not letting this little inconvenient plot point bother them, Graves and Masters finally stumble upon a restaurant full of them, which the Colonel blows up with a rocket launcher. Our heroes track down the above-ground dwellers to a barn. Bud sets eyes on Katie, then attacks the guys, causing a little friendly fire in the process. Masters shows up with more one-liners, but our titular character escapes while Katie has a sobering thought.
We picked him up from the disease control center.
We could have started a plague.
Yeah, no shit, you think?
What's up? Steve Williams. Nice to meet you.
Cut the crap. Where's the chud?
Graves brings them into custody. Enter the quirky drunk coroner. But if there's anything we know about horror movies, it's that coroners typically don't last long. But luckily for him, there's an afterlife as a zombie. And even better, it's happy hour. While our trio is held under guard by Graves, outside the C.H.U.D plague is bringing out the worst in everyone.
Hey, puppy, you lost? Oh, poor little guy. Come on, I said to come here.
Worst dog owner ever.
Are you kidding? I'm not gonna hurt you. Come on. I know. I can get you a sandwich from inside. You want something to eat? Oh, is that...
Well, that progressed quickly. Now the whole town is full of chuds, wandering above ground, of course. Luckily, it's Halloween, so they don't have to worry about looking too out of place. Pre-burn victim Freddy Krueger makes a cameo, taking advantage of the holiday as he quietly abducts some unsuspecting children on his way to the boiler room. But not without their own moral code, the chuds spare a small child in favor of a party of horny teens.
Hey, you guys want to go?
Hope the band doesn't stop.
I guess he's never heard of veal before. Apparently old people are fair game though, as trick-or-treating chud children, say that one 5 times fast, attack the unsuspecting couple. But don't worry, they're now just slightly less dead than they were before. Meanwhile, at the CDC, Kevin figures out the chud's next
There's a
move.
costume dance at the high school tonight.
Oh, no.
What? A couple hundred people should be there. There'll be music. There'll be noise. The Chuds will definitely...
Oh, jeez, that would be a perfect feeding spot. You know, if the Chuds increase their numbers...
There'll be no stopping them. The end of civilization. A world filled with zombies.
There, you said it. Zombies. Can we now just agree that that's what they are and quit pretending they're chuds? Except the chuds find them first and surround the place.
You take the lead car. I'll get the men. Maybe not.
The trio escapes and finds some weapons, while the chuds descend on the dance. And apparently it's a professional dance school, since I've never seen high schoolers throw it down on the floor like this before. Speaking of moves, the chuds answer back with their own thriller skills. After a little trouble getting into the dance,
I don't want any trouble. That'll be $3 a piece.
3, 6, 9...
And the dog has got to stay out here.
the zombies make it in and get their groove on. The trio arrives and find their science teacher infected. Strapped with the Mr. Freeze gun they brought for show and tell day, effectively finding a surefire way to kill them besides just putting them on ice. Kevin comes up with a plan to kill the above-ground dwellers.
Then the contained electrical charge causes an implosion. If we can get them in the pool, I have an idea.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, whatever he said. The zombies' silly antics are interrupted by Kate, looking like a snack herself, tasked with diverting them to the
Who
pool.
wants a bite? Come and get it.
KT! KT indeed. One of the zombies bites Steve as he tries keeping them in the pool while they wait for Katie to swim out. They manage freezing them, but when they start thawing, Kevin has to improvise.
Quick, introduce electricity to the ice.
Bud chases around his bride of Frankenstein to be and finally shoots his shot, bearing his heart to her, literally. That is until Kevin cock-blocks the sweet moment, icing Bud and electrocuting the pool of chuds. Only Bud's head survives, getting the last word.
Hi.
Before Steve takes out our titular character. Everything's back to normal again, except now Steve's left the band, hitting the road after being bitten and hitchhiking a ride with the infected dog, Graves, and a sexy driver woman who looks more like a vampire
Suppose
than a
we drive
chud.
until dark and stop somewhere.
for a bite to eat.
The dog, might I point out, is neither cannibalistic, a humanoid, nor has dwelled underground throughout the entire film, so I don't know what the hell he's doing here. And with their pointed teeth and witty banter, these vampires or zombies or chuds ride off into the sunset, paving the way for the next sequel in the franchise, C.H.U.D 3, Steve the Chud. But seriously, no follow-up film would arrive, as C.H.U.D 2 was hardly a sequel itself, but instead more of a tacked-on title. Gone are not only the Chuds, but also the gritty New York urban and subterranean settings, which lent a style to the original that the suburban/small-town backdrop can't match. It's no wonder the film isn't very highly regarded, aside from those of us who caught it on cable playing on a loop during the 90s and nostalgically look back fondly on it, despite its apparent drawbacks. Oozing with 80s charm and energy, you can't help but fall in love with the film and its quirky dialogue, not to mention the so cheesy it's good theme song. C.H.U.D 2 would have been more respectable as a standalone zombie horror satire, instead of passing itself off as a sewer monster movie as the poster implies. Filling in as an alternative Return of the Living Dead 3 would have been preferred, and make much more sense compared to the in-name only follow-up that was released. Perhaps the decision helped the film's longevity, later leading to it finding a cult following in special edition releases. Or perhaps it's ironically that decision which caused it to fall out of favor in the first place, and it might have found its own audience had it embraced its quirky satirical horror roots. You can't keep a good C.H.U.D down though, as its predecessor has found renewed interest thanks to the release of Jordan Peele's Us, where a VHS copy of the film is prominently and cryptically placed, not to mention the screening of the original film on Season 1 of Joe Bob's The Last Drive-In Show on Shudder, though the horror host didn't seem to be a big fan of it. For all its flaws, C.H.U.D 2 remains a memorable and fun 80s throwback that'll continue to find an audience as long as viewers crave love-struck zombie comedies accompanied by catchy theme songs and Robert Vaughn one-liners.
C.H.U.D, I need men down here. I need flamethrowers, nitro guns, the whole enchilada.
While the original C.H.U.D might have been scary, there's nothing to fear here on Cinephobia. Don't be afraid to like, subscribe, and comment.
Good night.